Hello, hello. Good evening, people. It is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. The year is almost over. I'm excited to be in the land of the living as usual. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine show. I am your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. We are live on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel. You name it, we're there. Again, please find us, like, share, and subscribe. Also, um, hold on. I do have a guest tonight. Eventually, he's going to come on in just a second. Hold on for just 1 second. Hello, hello.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So let me finish doing an intro and then we'll get into it. So
Okay.
again, I am glad to be here tonight. Of course, I have exciting guests, exciting information to convey to you guys. Again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're literally one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. It has been proven over and over again since I started this show almost 2 years ago. We have a guest tonight who I'm excited to know through one of my former coworkers. She is like a big sister to me. She has been supporting me since day one. I told her, she didn't believe me, but I told her she was going to be my best friend. I told her that I was sent to that job for her, specifically for her. And it's been proven since I said it. Um, Tonight we have Avery Smith, who she used to work with, and she highly recommended him for the show tonight. So I'm going to get into his bio, and then we're going to get into this wonderful conversation because not only do you find out about him, but I am finding out about him as well, which is fun for us all to learn at the same time. So what he sent me was his name is Avery Santana
Santana Smith. Yes, the last name.
Smith. Born in North Carolina, he moved to Michigan at age 11. He attended Catholic school, attended a Catholic college before transferring to one of the best schools at U of M. He began writing in high school and continued through college. After college, he realized that he had a gift that needed to be shared. He began working for the state of Michigan, and the idea was put on the back burner. He continued to write, and the idea returned stronger than ever a few years later. This time, he knew he had to move forward. He had the idea for a trademark, and once created, he moved forward with that. He wrote and performed in different open mics. I titled this show tonight "The Genius Behind the Words and Visual." And we're going to get into what did I mean when I said that. So, Mr. Smith,
Yes.
let's go back to the beginning. Um, in your time of learning yourself, what was the moment or where was that moment? Did someone tell you that you should get into writing?
No, You know what? I I would read things that my grandmother had written, and I thought, oh, I could probably do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, after telling her that a few times, she just smiled and said, "Okay, boy, just do it then. Why do you keep talking about it?" And so, maybe 2 weeks later, I went home and I started to draft something, and I still remember the first thing I wrote. The first one I wrote, it was called Fire. Burns on and on with all its might and never stops till it's gone from sight. When will they learn this thing they call fire? burns on with no desire. And I remember sharing that with her, and she said, she asked me, a few times, did I write it? Yes. You sure you didn't copy it from anywhere? No. And so from that point on, that I knew she had an appreciation for it, I just developed more of a passion. And so I started to write in high school, but it was more on the romantic line.
Of course. I was just about to say, was you practicing on the girls? I know you was.
Yes, I had someone that I really, really respected and admired, and I thought, what would be something I could do that is unique? And so I wrote this piece for her in high school,
Mm.
and that started the romantic side of it. And so, really, the romantic was where I was for a long time.
Which is good because as a creative person, our heart tells it all. Whether we're drawing it, whether we're singing it, whatever it is, it comes from the heart. So when we have those emotions that's connected to that, that's what comes out. So if you're in pain, things of that comes out. If you're in love, it just comes out easily. It's like a bubble. And so I'm sure when you start saying that, I say, yep, he practiced on girls. I know he did. I know he did. Um, so once you started getting the accolades from your peers and from other people who read your material, or you were listening to you recite it, what was the next step in your mind? Like, am I going to make this money, or is this just going to be a passion for me?
Yes. Well, I just thought, you know what? I like it. And I had friends who were like, we were all athletes. And so it wasn't when you're athlete, like a different mindset. And so just to be able to write those things, and, I would have like some of my English teachers would say, "Oh, I really like what you wrote in the journal," and they would ask me, "What did you write in the journal?" And I would say, "Oh, just something." And they would say, "Oh, can I read?" And I said, "Oh, that's the purpose of a journal. You're not supposed to till the end of class, until the class is concluded." So, yeah, I did know at that point. I knew I enjoyed it, but I didn't really like the money aspect of it. I didn't really think much about it. I just thought, you know what, I like it. Uh, it's it's a nice like skill, hobby, but I didn't think about moving any further than that. I just, but I did continue. And so then, once I left high school, um, I entered college, and then I continued to write. And my cousin and I, he decided really, and I just kind of followed him. And he said, "Hey, let's go into the Marines." And he said, "Yeah, let's do the Marine Reserves." And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." And then he said, "I think it'll be a good challenge." So I did that. And what I found in there, I actually sold. I wrote letters and sold the letters. I would write letters for guys, and I would charge them. Like I would charge them probably
Wait,
$30.
wait, 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 wait. So you was writing being like love letters
Yeah,
for
yes.
what? You didn't found a hustle in being a Marine. What?
But it didn't start off like that. It was just one person that said, "Hey, my girlfriend, we kind of going through something." And he would just share it with me because he was kind of like my bunkmate. And so I said to him, "If you give me the information," I said, "I'll write something to her." And I said, "I guarantee, you know, that, she'll like it so much that," I said, "she won't change her mind about the two of you being together, once you graduate and, we move on." And he said, "Oh, I don't know. Because, I don't know if she does." And I said, "Just give me." He gave me the information. I wrote it. And he was just so excited when he received the response that he started telling people about it. And he said, "Hey, this guy, he wrote this letter for me, man. You should, I mean, is it okay?" But I mean, at that time he had already told the guys that I had written.
Right.
So it's like he was running around, yeah, this guy, I mean, man, and then, all the things that she said. Oh, I can't believe how much, you were moved by those little things. You said the sweetest thing. So
Wow.
yeah, that was kind of yeah, that was good. But what I found is that it was so universal that gave me a little more passion about maybe it could be like something I could actually pursue just because of the response that because you wouldn't think of these guys just because of the response. And they all said to me, "Hey, I've never met anyone that can write the stuff. I read it in cards.
Mhm.
Never met anyone that could just write this stuff." And they said, "You just write it?" And I said, "Yeah, you know, I, I just write it." I said, "It just comes, and I just write it." And I said, "Usually, I just put it in notebooks and keep it."
Mm. So from, everyone knowing that you could write, was there any other door opportunities for you? Because I know as a writer, I actually got hired because I wrote for like a magazine or newspaper and things of that nature. Did any opportunities like that happen from your writing?
No, and I think part of the reason is I don't believe I pursued anything like I could have and probably should have. I, it was just something that I thought, okay, it's admired on a small scale, but I just didn't at that time. I didn't have the vision. I have to say I didn't. The vision I grew into, I didn't have the vision at that time, and so we graduated. I went back to we completed. We returned to college because we were kind of behind how long they kept us out in basic training. And so that was the focus, just to make up the classes so you can graduate with the group that you came in with and, that kind of focus. And during the time when I was in English, I started writing in my journal, but I didn't write romantic. I wrote different things because different things were happening. On one campus, they had quite a bit of kind of racial strife, and I thought, wow, it was a little bit different for us because we did this group where we slept with all these different people, ate with all these different people, and so to see the division, it was just a little bit surprising. So the things I wrote in the journal were different, but my English professor pulled me to the side and asked me, "Have you ever thought about becoming a writer?" Uh, Seriously. Said, "Wow, you have such a gift for this stuff." She said, "I'm just reading it," and she said, I can't believe that you put it together." And she said, "It just touched me," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was positive, and after that, I had a little more inspiration. But one of the challenges with writing is just trying to find out what would be my niche, because for years I had just done strictly romantic, and all of a sudden I was receiving these different inspirations to do things that were no longer romantic. I was doing more of like the type of things that I've performed on stage, like the politically conscious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that pretty much started, like I said, in college, and then I just moved from there, and I really started to delve into that because once it started, I was just flowing with it, and the romantic would just come here and there. But for a while, it was just the inspiration was totally that the politically conscious type of writing.
So did that help you go into music?
It didn't. No. It just, what, I won a couple like contests in college. In college, they had these different writing contests you could enter, and the first time, I think I was like in third place, and that was it was a little bit disheartening because I thought all these people had told me I could write so well. I'm like, why would they award me third place? But then, I met with one of the professors, and he pretty much said, "Oh, I really liked it. You really have a gift, but," he said, "you have to, kind of live the fullness of it." He said, "I think you stop short of when you're expressing something, trying, because you're concerned about how it'll be received." He said, "You have to just express the fullness of it and just let it go. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so the next time I entered, I won I won the contest, and the contest was like, I don't know, you receive a little plaque, and I think like $200, $200. So
So you're winning now
yes,
for um, your work. Um, and where did the music and where did that come from?
the the music aspect of it was just knowing, I just having met someone that was interested in like performing, which I had no interest in, but the person asked me uh to write some lyrics for something, and he asked me had I ever written lyrics, and I said no, I've never done that. And the person said, okay, so if I give you this, I'll just play this beat. And he said, you know what they call the the break is called a hook, and I want you
Yeah.
to think of a hook, and so the person was doing something like, it was like I guess it was a rap song. And I was familiar, I mean, you listen to it, but I didn't really think about myself being a writer for rap. And then once he played the beats and he started to say the words, then I thought, oh, yeah. And so I said, yep, give me until this afternoon. And then I listened to the beat and I came back with this hook. And he had a young lady there and she sung the hook. And he said, man, how did you come up with that? So that's how that happened. But it wasn't something I pursued. It was like just the person finding out that I had the ability to write, because they were reading something I had written. I had written this piece, and he read the end, and he said, wow, I can't believe, how did you end it like that? Because it's so visually, challenging for us to see what you wrote. He said, I can see the word, I can see it. And so that led to him asking me to write the hook. And I wrote the hook.
Then it becomes an addiction. So,
Yes.
what most people don't understand is if, as they say, if you could rap, you probably can sing. If you sing, you probably could rap. If you learn the cadence and all of that stuff. Most people don't understand if you can write poems, most likely you can write lyrics. It's just a breakdown of how the music flows. Or for me, I could hear a beat first and
Okay.
I can automatically pick up a hook or
Okay.
the lyrics. My husband like play something that he just created, and I'd be like, or he'll try to go to a different song, but no, 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 go back. I hear something, and from there is and that's what he sticks with. So he'll build the whole song around that, and
Okay.
then we'll go back in and actually finish up with the lyrics. But I'm excited to hear um the development of the journey of who you are as a writer. I remember we were talking on the phone at one point, and you were saying that your writing could have been the next Hallmark, or getting into those. You go buy your a card. Basically, you put me in the mindset. Well, now that I'm listening to you, of the soldiers, like, look, if you lost for words, I have somebody you can hire just
Yeah.
to say exactly what I know what I want to say, but I just don't know the words. So when you told me that on the phone, like, wow, really, Hallmark? Okay. Um, so tell the people why you didn't do that as far as getting to doing signature cards.
Well, you know what? I have to say, one summer, I actually drove to Hallmark. I This was before college. I must have been 17. And I graduated when I was 17. And I drove to Hallmark with a friend. And we just wanted to see the building. And he said, I think if you saw it, you'd be more inspired. And, he had this philosophy that, yeah, it was going to change something for me. And I said, okay. So actually, we went on a road trip, and we actually visited the Kansas, and I was like, man. And so we approached the building. It was security, asking who you, and then when we explained to, I mean, they were a little bit kind of curious, but they were curious, but they also were a little bit intrigued by someone that drives all the way from Michigan there because you're a writer. And how old are you? And I told them. And so normally, what they people, so the writers are people that want to have right, but the guy, you know what, Brad. So I'm going to called someone on the phone, told them the room, and brought some person down, some brought with them. However,
You you breaking up.
hear me?
Say something.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. At first, when you were talking, you were breaking up.
Okay. So did you hear the portion where I actually when I said when I visited Hallmark, the person that was in charge of like security, they contacted someone that was obviously upstairs, and that person they had a conversation, and he said, "Hold on," and he escorted us into a conference room. And the person, like 30 minutes later, the person came down, and he introduced himself, and he said, I'm a recruiter for Hallmark, recruiter, and I recruit writers. But he told me, he said, but Hallmark has a policy. They never employ someone that they couldn't promote to do something else. So they only hired people with degrees. It's basically what he was telling me. He said, even though you're a talented writer, they like to know that you're versatile, and so they can
Hmm.
move you around if it comes to that. But he did read the I think I had like 5 or 6 things that I had with me. uh, he read those, and he kind of gave me some feedback. He said, but keep in mind, you're 17. He said, over a period of time, all this is, it's going to grow more mature. He said, so that's the person, that mature aspect of it would be the individual that Hallmark would select. And so, you know, he treated us to lunch, and he pretty much said, hey, take this card. And, if at that time you still interested, and he said, even, and if I'm around, don't feel free to reach out and such and such. But, and that was pretty much it. So that happened, like I said, prior to college and prior to the Marines. It was just me listening to a friend and doing something.
So, how long were you a Marine?
We, as a reservist, you're a Marine for 6 years, which means you go one summer a month. You every weekend, once a month, you go for drills, and then one summer, you go for, they say 30 days, but it's a little bit. It's not exactly 30 days. It's usually more like a month and a half, and then you're accountable for 6 years. That means that anytime that something should occur where they need your particular skill set, they can call you up, and they can do that for 6 years. So
Hmm.
yeah, so that was, I mean, it was good. It was a good experience. I think it built on some of the other things, because later on, like and I understood what the person was saying, because when I look at some of the things I had written, like even for the young lady in high school, when I look at that today and then look at what I write now in terms of romance, it's wow, it's night and day. So I understood what he was saying. He said, once you have life experiences and you mature, it's going to totally change. And he was right. And it does change. Like how you see people, the qualities that you recognize in someone that, that really move you, that inspire you, that, that you really want to be a part of, like just connection with that individual. So all those things come with time and experience, and so that's
Yeah,
where my writing
exactly.
today.
So from doing hooks, from writing for hire,
Yeah,
Marines,
that was a
and
hustler. That
from
was good.
yes, basically from that point on, where did you get into the idea that you wanted to have your own business?
So yeah, one of the other things is being athletic. I've always been a person that tries to keep myself in great shape because one of my COs said to us, wherever I see you, I don't care if I see you anywhere in the world, he said, you should always look different. You should stand out from everyone else. I should never confuse you with anyone else. And I was like, wow, this guy is demanding. And so that, you know, coupled with my own desire to just kind of keep myself healthy, I continued to work out. And in college one day, I was working out with a group of friends, and they would ask me each week, okay, what are we going to do? And how's this going to play out? And what do you think, this and that? And one day the guy came and he was like, he was going to ask me, and I just said, oh, I said, man, remember one thing. And he said, what's that? And I said, there's only one way. The only way out is up. And so I had this saying. And so they would talk about it constantly. And I was like, wow, I didn't think so. Years went by. I mean, I was working with the state. I was still writing, but not as consistently that as I had prior to being employed with the state. And then one day I was talking with some friends, and they said to me, some of those things that you write, you could do one or two things. They said, if you want to do cards, but then when I have a friend that has a florist, and she told me, cards, that she said the challenge with cards is that people over a period of time, they discard them. So she said, what you write is more like a keepsake. So you want to create, like, she said, maybe what would be best for you is to create keepsake things with and add your words. And I said, what would that look like? And she introduced me to those, what they call open box, those frames. And she said something like that. She said, now that would be something a person would mount. Like if you gave it to a person for a gift, they'd mount that. And so that would be something that would stay around. That's what you want. That's what your work deserves to be. Like she said, read, and it deserves to be read time and time again. And I was like, okay. So from that point on, once she said that, I started searching for, like, you know, what would be something that I would like, a stamp or a seal or something. And so, me having, Cuban background, so I came up with this little heart. And so it was just a rough draft. And then I took it to a printing agency and I asked them for assistance. And they said, oh, okay. So they were asking me, what was I thinking? What did I want the image to look like? And so I created this heart, and then it has like the word siempre, which is forever, and then amor, love, and then it's like piercing the heart. Like one is on the left and the other one is at the bottom on the right, and then underneath it has true love lasts forever. So once I did that, then what the guy told me, he said, since you write words, he said, words can be stolen. So what you might want to do is pursue a copyright. He said it sounds expensive, but he said in this business you either pay on the front end or the back end. He said the back end is always more expensive because then you have to pursue people who use your talent. They use your talent or they stole it. He said then you'll have to pursue that. So I did pursue a copyright, and then I did, I used it a little, but not as much as I probably should have, because once again I was employed with the state of Michigan, and then I kind of got comfortable. I have to honestly say. So even though
Pull
I'm
your
like,
camera,
pardon?
pull your camera down so we can see your face.
Okay,
There you are.
all right, you can see me. Okay, so yeah, I didn't pursue it like I should have. So, but I did secure the copyright, and then for so for the next year or two, I just started just researching. Okay, how would it look to purchase the supplies to create these shadow boxes, like what my friend talked about.
So did the shadow boxes did that do well for you or no?
It did. It did. However, I needed to find a cheaper supplier, so my entry into the market wouldn't be so high, because that was one
Okay.
of that was, like, people loved it. Like, if you went somewhere and you sold it, people, oh man, that's, you wrote that, that's beautiful. And then I was going like local places in my community, and people like to support. They were always surprised, number one. And then they were surprised, but it was like they were pleasantly surprised, but they were still just, kind of in awe, because I said, yeah, I wrote this. And they go, wow, wow. I mean, yeah. But, the challenge for me was was entering the market, because of what I was paying for materials, and then it's my words. And so it was one of those challenges.
Okay. So from the shadow boxes, did you go immediately to t-shirts?
I did not. From the shadow boxes, I went to actually posters, because I started to write some things, and people wanted those for posters. Like, someone said, "Oh, I would like that on a poster. Can you do a poster?" And I hadn't done a poster, but I contacted someone, and they said, "Oh, I have a friend that works at OCC, and they're in advertising. They might be able to help you with that." And so when I talked with him, we kind of got together on how a poster would look, what kind of raw materials I would need. And so, yeah, for a period of time, I was developing those posters. But then, like, right before we really got into it, then COVID came along. So that just kind of
Mhm.
went on the back burner.
Got you. So what do you as a creative person, um what do you enjoy the most? Is it like just writing the letters? Is it the t-shirts, the sayings? What is it?
I mean, I love it all. I mean, like, for me, it's like, I mean, all of it, because when you read over it, it's just such a. I mean, I tell people it's almost spiritual, because to think about the fact that I can just sit in front of a computer, and the spirit just writes these words through me. I mean, that's just, yeah. And I when I read over it, sometimes
It
I'm
don't
just,
make sense, right? I
yeah.
mean, it makes sense, but it's like, um, and I understand what you're saying. I ain't mean to cut you off, but I get excited talking to another creative or a writer, especially a writer. So um this book that I wrote I finished it in 2010 and I never did anything with it. And I was like, well, what you want me to do with this? I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. And the first couple of chapters, that whole book, literally, I felt like, I wouldn't say possessed, but I didn't feel like it was me that was writing it. I had got done with that book in 3 months, like nonstop. I felt like somebody was like literally, and I was just the scribe person. And so when I would let somebody read it, they will bust out crying or things of that nature. And I'm like, what are you crying about? They was like, well, how did you know? How did I know what? They was like, this is part of my life. Like, I never told you that. And I said, exactly. I don't know what you're talking about. And so people were getting like it was their personal story. To me, it was fictional. But, going back and looking over it, like, I wrote that. You sure? Like somebody else had to write this. And this is how I knew it was God. Like I didn't write this. There's no way that it could affect so many people. And I had no idea. I never had any personal conversations with anyone to come up with this particular story. So I know it's possible. Seriously.
So that, like, for me, that's what pretty much happens. I just, so like the writing morphed. It went from the romantic is how I started, and then it went to the politically conscious, and then it went to I started doing some motivational things. And I know I am like motivational. I'm very inspiring. Like when people meet me, you know, so I understand because people, I'll meet a person once and just have an interaction, and then I'll may not see that person for a year, but I'll see that person like shopping with their wife or something, and they'll bring their wife up and say, hey, this is the person I was telling you about. And I'm a little bit surprised because I'm like, oh, okay. But then, I'm like, wow. And they said, yeah. And they'll quote what I said to them. They said, yeah, I remember we were in the locker room and he said such, 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 such. And I'm like, wow, this guy, man, he really received what I was saying. So that put me into the motivational, and then the motivational is how I arrived in the t-shirts. And so that little saying that I discovered when I used to work out with my college buddies, what I did was I worked with a graphic artist, and we came up with an actual symbol that says that. And then so when I talked to my attorney, they said, well, you don't copy because it's a phrase. What's best for you to copyright is the phrase, not the actual symbol. Because if someone uses a different symbol, but those words, then you won't be protected. And I said, okay. So what I did is copy. I had a copy. I have a copyright on the words as it relates to anything motivational, inspirational for T-shirts, posters, like coffee mugs, anything like that.
And what was the phrase?
The phrase is the only way out is up.
The only way out is up.
Yes. And if you can see it, I'm wearing a shirt, one of my t-shirts with the logo on it.
Yes, I can see it.
See?
Um, you
So
made me
that's
forget what I was about to say.
where I am today in terms of, I my goal now is to see, I'm not, before I think I was just so caught up in, like most people, you have passions and dreams, but your dreams oftentimes we allow them to take a back seat because we get caught up trying to make a living. And for me, that's what happened. I realized that I was like, wow, what happened to the person that was so passionate, that had these all these experiences? Now I turned into just like a drone like everyone else. And once I rediscovered that, is what inspired me to actually move forward with it, and pursue the copyright, create the LLC. So then I had to move forward and actually make it like my mission, because now my goal is to have a legacy, and to leave a legacy behind is how many people that just how you touch the life of another person, how you inspire them to recapture that dream, and to live beyond even what they thought they could. And so that's my passion. Like, that's why I say the only way out is up.
I think I almost lifted up on my couch. I think I was just inspired.
Yeah.
You was about to go there. I was like, uh oh, I better hold on. I feel the flight coming.
Yeah, so that's what I
It,
tell them. And most people will tell you, they tell me, I don't, they'll tell you themselves. They said, man, no, people don't forget you. And I was
I
like,
know the feeling.
and I said, really? And they said, yeah. They'll tell me sometimes, yeah, I was talking to a guy, and they said they were just both describing me, but they were two different people describing me, because one person was saying, yeah, I've known him for X number of years, and the other guy had known me for a shorter period. So they were both describing me, but the other person, obviously, if he's known me longer, has had greater experiences with me. And so at the end of it, the guy said, "We were talking about you. It was the same person, but he was saying this guy, he saw something. He was telling me what his experiences were. So they had a whole. He took something totally different away from my interaction with him. Whereas the other person that's known me longer, he had a totally different take on it. So Yeah, that really.
Longest is the, I look at it as, we're all here for a purpose. And sometimes, as trailblazers, and I say this all the time, it's not easy being a trailblazer, but the light is always gonna shine. Like, you could be going through the worst day, the worst time ever, but to somebody else, you're that light. You're the inspiration that they have from you. Like, going into battle and literally you like, I'm wounded too, but at the same time, I'm gonna push past my pain to make sure you're okay. Whatever that looks like, whatever you need from me, that's what I'm gonna do. So, like I said, I've been friends with some people who've known me since elementary school, and it's like, you are literally the same person but bigger. It's like, you can't get away from who you are. Like, this is you. Sometimes, life has it, or we have life experiences, things happen to us that we just, you think this wouldn't happen to you, but at the end of the day, everything is turned for our good, period. Like, it might take some time, but when you up, as you say, the only way out is up. And once you get to that place, there's nothing stopping you. Nothing, you're unstoppable. And that's what people draw to. Like, wherever you are, um, you could be in a grocery store and people will draw to you because of the light that's in you. Sometimes we be wanting to hide. Sometimes we want to be like, I just want to be, in chill
Yeah,
mode. But
yeah,
that's not how God made you.
right.
So, wherever you are, if it, I could actually literally see you be the person in the gym, like talking to everyone, like, get out of your own way. If you get out of your own mind, you're bigger than what you are. Like, give yourself credit. um I say this all the time to my youth and people in general. Like, if you looked at me and you really understood and knew my story, you'll be like, how did you get to where you are? I didn't look like this all the time. It took time. I had to do a journey just like everybody else. I had to go through a process. But if you keep going, it gets better, and never stay dark all the time. So again, I was very appreciative of Sherry telling me about you. And she was very excited to tell me about you. So again, your experiences that you have, you never know, when people leave your presence. Lasting impressions is everything. My first conversation, only conversation that I had with you on the phone, I was like, wow, I can't wait to actually learn from him in his conversation. I don't give questions up front, because I want to literally know who you are by just the questions, by the statements that you make. Let me ask this question, how was it like that? And putting two and two together from our first conversation of, going to Hallmark. First of all, I want to let you know that even before going to a service type attitude, you were very bold and confident. Even though you didn't know which way and how everything was going to pan out, you were very bold and confident at 17. Most kids are not like that. They're, following, or trying to still find themselves. But even in that, you were still proactive in trying to find out, like, maybe I can be good at this. Maybe I can do something different than playing a sport or what the norm is thrown at us. And so I commend you for stepping out there into a lane that you didn't know nothing about, even though you were getting the accolades from the girls, or like somebody telling you, hey, your writing is good. Um, One of the also the things that I want to bring out is very important that, people understand the important roles of a village. One thing that I wanted to say to you, you said your first experience about writing was reading your grandmother's writing.
Yes.
And that was very important to me because, um, your first interactions of who you will become most likely is from the people that are close to you and what they like. My mother was a singer. My mother did all this, acting acting and things of that nature. So what did she do? She instilled that in us at a young age. So what did we do? We all grew up in wanting to sing, being in front of people, and things of that nature. So again, your first encounters with writing was you reading your grandmother's um, her skills that were passed on to you, and for her to never really say, "Hey, that was good," but when she quizzed you to see if you really wrote that, that was her flowers to you to say, "Yeah, you're onto something." And so, I'm glad that you found um, that accolades in writing. There's so much comfort in expressing yourself um, in those most darkest moments in life, when we don't have someone, quote unquote, to talk to. We can always write out our feelings. We can always sing them out. We can always express it in some type of art form where it doesn't overtake us and overwhelm us. So I want people to understand, whoever is listening, that the art of writing is very emotional. And sometimes we could take that as our counseling, as our therapy in
Yeah.
writing, whether it's the singing form, whether it's lyrics. A lot of our well-known writers were going through emotional things, and that's how you get all the Mary J. Blige hurtful, painful girl theme songs, because of the pain that she went through, and she wrote it out. So again, however way you need to do, if you have to have Mr. Smith write out your feelings on some paper, and put a beat behind it and make a hook, so be it, so you can feel better about what's going on in your heart or on your mind. um During the pandemic, I found it very therapeutic for me to write and sing. During this time, did you find that you were writing more during this period?
Well, I initially I went through a minor depression because I was isolated and I like people. It's like the energy. I like to give off energy, and so not being able to share, I took a dip. But once I came out of it, I started writing, like the things that I was inspired to write. It was like, they kind of took me to another level. Like the type of things that I was writing that motivated people. And I can remember, even like, I'm the type person, like, sometimes if I'm waiting in line, I always have something with me because an idea will come. And I don't want, and I have to honor the ideal, because if I don't record the idea, it's done. It's not like, if I don't record that idea, it won't come again. The ideals, because they're a blessing. And it's like, how do you honor it? You have to capture it. So I'm always, if a person sees me wherever I am, I always have something. And sometimes people will think I'm adding things or something, but no, I always have a little something. If I'm driving, I have a little voice activated recorder. And so as I think of something, I just, say a few sentences in the little recorder, and then I say I can complete it later. And that's usually what I do. Like, I can start something today and I may not finish it until a week from now, but it's like the perfect time. Wherever I was, wherever I needed to be, it's like I have to be in that place. And whatever consciousness I need to be in, like, it's like God says, okay, I'm going to take you here, but I just want to have you experience this first. And then once I get to that point where I'm in that consciousness, then it just flows. And once I came out of the pandemic, yeah, I was more encouraged by some of the things I had written to inspire other people. And that's, really like some of the quotes. Like, I'm wearing a little quote right on this t-shirt that says, true greatness cannot be measured. It says true greatness cannot be measured. And then on the back, it says it can only be lived. So I'm always, like, it always comes to me. Like whatever I'm doing, like something will come and then I'll honor it. And I'm always grateful because, I understand the greatest, probably appreciative form of appreciation I can express is gratitude. And I'm sincerely grateful. I'm sincerely grateful, and I'm just humbled by just the ability to be able to do this and to be able to have done it so long. Because I mean, if I look at, I mean, I started this stuff in high school, and it never, it never left me because it wasn't. I was meant to pick it up at some point. It was just when I was ready, and I said, now, you've heard that saying, when a student is ready, the teacher will appear, and it was just my time. And so one now, when I revisited that again, it was like, yeah, there was no denying that this is what I came to do. And I would be
Absolutely.
dishonoring if I didn't do it. So that's where I am at this point. I just feel like it would be, a dishonor not to fulfill my destiny.
Absolutely. I'm in agreement. Um, because we know that words have power. And the I don't think people really understand truly what that means. Even in the things that we put out, if there's things that we don't like and things that we don't agree with, we can speak those things as though they were and change it.
Yes,
We have dominion. So the earth has to yield to what we say and not the other way around. So our words, just like God formed us in the world with words,
with
we
words.
have that same power. So you speak into someone's life, it is life changing. Um and the when we think of an end or wanting to change, level up, all you got to do is say it. And if you keep saying it in repetition and you actually put belief and faith to it, it will happen. It will manifest. And so, one of the things that I've learned, the biggest lessons that I've learned in 2022 was I had to reset. I literally had to sit down and reset. What do I mean by that? Is I had to go back to the beginning of my first love, which was writing
Okay.
and music. And
Okay.
so those things came with instructions. And for me, God gave me instructions, then he demonstrated in his word, and then it manifested into the earth in that very order. And so it was like, okay, my practice now is I have to be obedient. Whatever he says, I don't question. I do it immediately because it does have benefits. I don't want to get to the sacrifice part. I want to do it right there. And so it becomes practice. And so with that is I have to be careful about my words because life and death is in our tongue. And so just like we have assigned people to us, your assignment is to people you might not have met yet. It's the people who you've met over the years that you never changed. That's what people like. Stability, accountability, someone who's going to be the same all the time. That's you. So we need people like you. We need people like you to continue to show your light. So when we're in a dark place or whatever the case may be, we always have somebody that I could like call up or bump into to make sure like I need a recharge. That's you.
That's me. Yeah. Yeah, that's me.
That's you. So again, I'm totally grateful for this time for us to I'm just grateful to meet another decent human being. Um,
Yes,
it's exciting to learn more about people who know what they're here for one, know that they love doing what they do. Again, there is always, stories of the comeback kid and the underdogs, and I'm into superheroes big time. So
okay.
for me, it's exciting to learn that someone else has superpowers just like I do. And so I'm grateful that you're using them. And you're still not even scratching the surface yet.
That's right. Yeah, because I'm just, I've just come to a point, like I said, where I feel it. I know before COVID, I can remember reading and being. I was presenting this piece I wrote called "Going Home," and it's about it was about Africa. And I can remember this young lady when I stopped reading it, she was crying, and I was like, man. And I was like, wow, I hope, I didn't offend her in some way. But then, afterwards, when we were standing off to the side, she approached me. She said, can I speak to you? And then she just said how it just moved her. She said, it took me there. The words you used, she said, it touched my soul. And I said, oh, but, and I mean, it's like I said, it's a gift to be able to have any kind of impact on the individual. But to be able to touch someone by the way you can arrange words, the tonation of it, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, and I can honestly say well, most of my life I've been, for the most part, a shy person. The only, it kind of I broke out of it somewhat, uh, going doing sports, and then the military thing, and but yeah, it's still kind of reserved. But when you go up on stage, that's the key, is you're not yourself. Like, you become the words. Whatever the words are, you are those words. And so when I'm there, I'm not the same person. And I understand that. Like, once I step one foot on that stage, and they'll say, this is so and so, because out there you have a different stage name, and then, I don't usually say it, but people that, like, if they've seen me, then they know that, you have a stage name, and they use that. But once they introduce you, then it's like a switch turns on, and I'm just like a different person, because I understand I'm the words. And so what I do is deliver those words in the truest form that I can.
Absolutely. It puts me in the mindset of a some people are like preachers, where some people feel like, well, the prayer is, Lord, decrease me while you increase. So you're not in the same space as when God takes over. So you're like the vessel he's using, but when they hear you, it's not you, it's God. And
Yeah.
so it's the same sense when, people get on to perform, to act, to do any of those things. It's like you become another person. Because for me, I've never been shy. I don't know what that means. So I was always the outgoing person. I'm always trying to make sure everybody fits in, everybody's okay, that type of person. But again, I'm super excited to know that you're growing, and that you're growing in the right direction. That and I knew that the world needs to know who you are, because again, just the little bit that you're giving me right now, I literally can feel like I could like gravitate off my couch. Like, I'm so empowered. Like,
Yes.
if he go any further than what he is doing right now, I'm definitely gonna be like, yes, I could do anything. I can, whatever the case may be. It's like I can hear your voice on like the inspiration when somebody's working out, or they're going through those moments, the hard times, they're just coming out of surgery or whatever the case may be. And I need that voice, that one voice to make me want to live another day, or whatever the case may, not me per se, but just
Right.
people
I
in
understand.
general. I can hear your voice being the voice that they're listening to take another step. Um, those who just came out of surgery, and or they just got bad news, or whatever the case may be. Like, listen, if y'all heard the voice and the energy and the motivation that came from that voice, um, I can't lose. I can't lose. I think the next step for you might be like some voiceovers for real. Might want to look into that.
Yes. Okay. All
like
ideas
some
are yes. Okay.
voiceovers, reading some inspirational words, recording it, put it out on TikTok or something. You never know. Like,
Yes.
yeah, you got it.
And I have a lot, some inspirational things that I mean just passionate, where I'm telling a person that, whether it's a person coming out of a relationship, whether it's a person that has, has encountered things, they probably thought something was turning out one way, and they, did feel, and that person, because it's never the end. And that's what I always tell them. It's just, it's just an opportunity, for you to ascend to the next one. Forget about that one. That one's done. That one's probably, sometimes people don't realize it's not meant to hold you. That, we aim too low anyway. So, you doing that. And so some of the things I write, that what I do have to get a grasp on is what the one college professor that was from OCC, that was working in the advertising, what he did say to me is to scale them back a little bit in terms of the volume, because he said when you get into that business, you understand that words. He said words are those people are compensated based on words, and he said if they'll pay you for, they say for four stanzas. He said that's it. He said so you don't want to continue to give them five when they're only paying you for four. So some of the things like that, and to fit into some of my, like the shadow boxes and some of those things, I am finding a way to kind of bring them back a little bit.
Like you said before, once you find your niche, that's it.
Yes,
There, and I'm learning also that there's an audience for you. Like, everybody's not gonna like you, and they don't have to.
that's true.
There's gonna be people that you least expected is gonna support you and waiting for you.
Wow.
So whether it's on a other continent, who knows?
Right.
I'm matter of fact, I was just before I got on with you, just going back and forth with somebody who's in Sydney, Australia.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm
wow.
like, you in he says Sydney, and I'm like Australia? He like, yeah. I'm like, wow. So you never know. I mean, I've talked to people in Italy. You never know. So really, really, I'm serious. Look into voiceovers.
Okay.
Really get
Sure.
into the commercial voices. There's like people voices like Earl Jones that you know they voice when you hear it.
Yes.
You have that type of voice. So even if it's not just music, but literally the commercial voiceovers, whatever, reading, you got it. Trust me, you got it. So explore that while
Okay.
you continue to do what you're doing now, but really look into that.
I will. And thank you for that.
That would be $500 for my advice.
Yes. Yes. Because everyone, I mean, but everyone is worth worth it. But sometimes people don't realize that, but everyone is worth their weight in whatever type, because they constantly add to your life. Just like this experience, I'm grateful to Sherry because every experience in life changes you. Like, I will never be the same person after this experience than I was when I signed on at 701. That person I was at 701, that person's forever gone. I mean, this is someone that's totally new, that's had the opportunity to share with another spirit like yourself, that's also elevated. And you feel just the passion for just wanting people to just reach, the higher consciousness of who they are and who they can be. And so, yeah, just for me understanding that I'll never be that person again. And that's just, such gratitude that someone can recognize that and say, "Yeah, I think this person will be worth having a conversation."
Yeah. One thing about me, I am a natural born connector, and my purpose is to connect people or be a part of their destiny. Um, I might not be at the end. I might be the beginning part or the middle. It doesn't matter. Long as you get to where you need to be. And however God uses me, when I talk to the people, you never know. People inbox me all the time asking about different guests that was on the show, and then other doors open up. So again, if you know of other people that you feel is dope, whether
Yeah.
it's I don't discriminate on age, none of
Okay.
that. Send them my way. Again, I feel like every person, every guest that have come on here deserve to be in that spot. The world needs to know them. I'm always on a bigger scale, like next Oprah, next Ellen DeGeneres, whatever. I'm just waiting for the money to come to where I can actually bless the person. Oh, this is what you're doing? Oh, okay. Let me just pay for your year or your whole 4 years of college just so you can focus on that. Whatever it is, if it's somebody that I know that's already doing what you're doing, I'll connect you guys so you guys can form that fellowship. Again, I'm just grateful that God gave me this platform, gave me this appreciation of Him to be able to say that you're literally one person away from where you need to be in your destiny. If it's help, whether it's advice, whatever it is, you're only literally one person away from it. So, just before we get off, is there anything else that you want to say to the people?
Yeah, just kind of, just I could just say be on alert for when you see, anything that I've done, in terms of my work, or I do pop up at these once they start back again, these, because everything's pretty much shut down, but now, they're starting to open up again. And sometimes they'll see me, being advertised as such and such. It won't be the same name, but just be receptive to anything that's associated with with me, in terms of the romance. Most of the things you'll see from me are going to be on a little bit deeper scale. It's not going to be the superficial. I try to really, like, I always tell people, I just allow it to write itself through me, and I don't get into volume, because I want to really, when I write about two people connecting, I really want them to have that experience. And whenever I write, I visualize it. It's like I experience it. And people, that's why I think one of my college professors for English, she asked me once, do I have inspirations? And I said, no. And she said, oh, I'm surprised. And I said, no, because I said, if I had a different inspiration other than God, then what happened was every time something changed, then that would change. I said, my
Mhm.
inspiration is consistent. And that's why the production is, what I do, my creativity is consistent. I told her it continues to evolve. I said, because that's the center of it. If it was something different, then it would be relying on all the external forces. But there's nothing external that really moves it like the internal source that I have. So if they see something out there, with uh they probably, like, if you see anything Avery Santana Smith, that's me, because that's my last name is really hyphenated. So if you see anything, out there that bears that name, or it's just motivational, just kind of look into it. It could be, a piece of my work.
Absolutely. Again, you guys, I do want to say a quick thank you to um, so many doors have opened in the last ooh, 2 months. And so I want to thank everybody who has been supporting not only this show, Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine. I do appreciate all that have come through in the last 2 years. Those who supported financially, I thank you, thank you, thank you. I started doing the podcast with the Gathering of the Saints, which has been doing very, very well. Again, I thank you for that. Also, I wanted to put out the end of October, I released my new book, The Blueprint God's Design. It is on Amazon. So you all you have to do is either put in my name, Kamilah Foster, and it will come up. I believe it's the first book. Um, and so I want to you guys to support that. Also, I am officially announcing that I got the chorus role in the Peerless Times
Woo!
play stage play
Awesome.
that will be appearing in Detroit in April. From what I'm hearing, it might be the last one in Detroit, possibly Atlanta and Broadway. So again, I am happy, happy, happy that I was selected for that. Again, thank you for all your support, and um, I'm speechless about that. I'm
Oh,
very speechless about that. So again, this weekend, if you're not busy, I will be our first rehearsal for Perilous Times is Saturday. Right after that, I am singing with Sean Harden in the concert, the Sneaker Ball, this Saturday as well, starting at 6 o'clock. If you need tickets, I do have a couple of free tickets. If you want to inbox me, if you want to go. Again, thank you, Avery, for this wonderful time that we have shared together.
no,
Um,
thank you, Camilla. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
um, it's been a pleasure. I will thank Sherry again for um, connecting us again. Like I said, if you have anybody that you feel like needs this spotlight, that needs this platform, that needs this energy, please send them my way. And one more last thing, if you want to donate to this show to help keep the lights on,
Okay.
please donate at Cash App $ Sunshine Camila. That is Sunshine Kamilah. That is how you really spell my name. But again, thank you so much for this wonderful evening. It has been an awesome time. I don't know who that is. Anywho, and again, I am going to say again, we believe in 6 degrees of separation. I believe you are one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. Avery, I will send the show to either Sherry or no, I can email it to you. So you can have the recall, so you can do whatever you want with it. Again, thank you so much for sharing this evening with me.
No, thank you, Camila. It was an honor. And thank you to all the guests for allowing me to really speak and to have this opportunity to share with you. I hope that something I said was inspiring, uplifting. And if I could do anything more, most people know me. Like I said, most if you ever encounter me, you realize you'll never forget the exchange. So I invite everyone to continue to support the show, and I will continue to do so. As now that I thank you for this opportunity because it gives me something to reach out to and to be able to be a part of the growth of something.
Absolutely. And again, you never know who might reach out from here to not only support you, also to, get you more acclimated with doing conversations with other people. So again, like I said, you haven't even scratched the surface yet. Um, our biggest dreams and understanding that we can't do our big dreams by ourselves. We need the village, we need the people and the support in order to accomplish all that we are meant
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do on this earth. So,
Yeah.
again, I want everyone to please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys on Thursday with another special guest, Rodney R. Rhodes. Yeah, I think he's gonna be here Thursday. Of course, we have some more guests coming up. We're still adding. So on Facebook, on Instagram, I have posted all the way to the middle of December. And I'm still adding more shows. So again, I look forward to seeing you again. Okay.
Okay. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening. I thank you for allowing me to just be inspired by your presence.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.